Well, hello, everybody. This is Bob Van Buren once again with the Van Buren Variety Show. This is episode 93, and it's also the last episode for this year, 2022. What a ride it's been! I have met so many interesting people on this program, each one of them with an interesting profession, an interesting life overall, and I'm very grateful to all the guests that have appeared this year with sharing their life stories with me and with you, my subscribers and audience. So thank you so much to my guests for making this a really, really great year. 2022 will be very memorable, and looking forward to 2023 to see what that brings. And also, I want to say a special thank you to my subscribers out there, my subscribers, my audience, and even the newcomers. We have some newcomers on tonight that have not seen this show before, and so if you want to know a little quick rundown what this is, it's variety. Every week I have an interesting guest to talk about an interesting topic. It could be their profession. It might be a musician. It might be a how-to segment or just a general interest, what they're interested in. So you never know what you're going to get. So if you look real carefully on that phone or on that computer, you might see a subscribe button. That really, really helps me. It makes me feel really good. So you don't mind building my ego up just a little bit, right? So, and if you like the guest tonight, and if you like the topic, make sure you hit that like button. Our guest would really, really appreciate that. And visit her website as well, because we will have, or I will display her website up here with her interesting career that she has. So, hope you've all had a great Christmas so far. I had a great time with my family. Quiet, we stayed home. Probably the best kind, right? New Year's is coming up, and it should be a great year for all of us. So, again, welcome everybody to the Van Buren Variety Show. I'm so glad you're here. And also, those of you that are watching this is being simulcast on Texas Front Porch, another YouTube channel. So, if you're on Texas Front Porch, again, I appreciate you watching there as well. But make sure you come over to Van Buren Variety and subscribe here. I really, really appreciate it. So, enough about that. I have a very, very great guest tonight, multi-talented, and you will see and hear for yourself. Her name is Jennifer Lieberman, and you're going to see a lot of her talent and a lot of her things that she has produced. So without further ado, let me bring her on now, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to Jennifer Lieberman. Welcome, Jennifer, to the Van Buren Variety Show.
Hi, Bob. Thank you so much for having me.
Love to talk to you. I mean, you have got such an impressive resume. I mean, it would take 5 hours to talk about everything that you've done, if not longer. Really, and I'm honored that you took the time to be here tonight. But I would love just to kind of get started. You're an author. You're an actress. You're a film producer. You wear many hats, so to speak. So, how did you get into the business? I guess I could say.
Yeah, so when you kind of list everything individually, it sounds like a lot, but everything's interconnected. So to me, they don't feel like all of these separate things.
Mm-hmm.
So I began. So I always had an interest in, let's say, storytelling. Okay. I always had an interest in writing. When I was a kid, that's when I kind of started writing scripts. Not because I wanted to be an author, but because I wanted to be a performer. And I loved acting. Like, I loved watching movies and TV shows and would get super kind of lost in these stories. And I had a huge crush on Zach Morris on Saved by the Bell.
A lot of ladies did back in the day.
A lot of ladies did. Zack Attack. I had a Zack Attack. So what I did was I would imagine myself into kind of scenarios on the show, and I would write scripts. So that's kind of how I started writing, but it always came from the desire to perform. So I didn't really pursue performance until university, until I was like an adult.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first thing I started to do. I was still writing scripts, and I even wrote like my first feature film, feature film script when I was still in university. So that was always there. And then when I was 20 years old, I graduated from university. I'm Canadian. We call it university, not college.
Sure.
And
You're in Toronto. Make sure I let you, right?
yes,
Toronto.
yes, exactly. So I moved to New York with the desire to get into theater. I was taking acting classes in Toronto. I also
Right.
had gone to New York for the summer to study at a conservatory. And when I went to New York for that summer to study in university, that was it.
Sure.
I was just, yes, this is what I'm doing with my life.
That's great.
So I began as a performer who was, kind of writing scripts on the side for myself because, ooh, this would be a good movie to make, or this would be a fun role to play, or this is a cool idea. And then I got into a few theater companies in New York and started performance. And
wow.
One of the theater companies lost its producer. The producer went on to go do some other stuff.
Okay.
So I was asked to step up to the plate and produce the next production. And I was like, no, not interested. I was 22 years old and all I wanted to do was perform. And, they approached me a few different times and they kind of wore me down, and they said that I would still be able to have a role in the production. Because my biggest concern was, like, why would I do that if it would take away from me being able to be in the play?
I agree with you on that for sure.
Yeah. But also I didn't realize, like, the stress of everything that I was taking on at the time. But anyway, that's kind of how it began. So I started producing off Broadway theater in the East Village, and
wow.
Got into indie film production. And because I had the confidence of working as a producer in theater, I would audition for film projects or even theater projects, and I would offer to work behind the scenes. That was another way to network with people. It was a way to, kind of learn other aspects of the industry. Like in theater, I've done lighting and sound, so I understand how to use that equipment. I've been the stage manager. I've worn so many different hats over the
literally.
years. Yeah, literally over the years that, it all just seemed, but it was all part of the theater making or the filmmaking. So it didn't feel like I was doing 8 different things,
Sure.
Like, I'm working in hospitality. Oh, my light just went out. Oh my goodness.
I can still see you.
It's
not bothersome at all.
Okay, good. Okay, just making sure.
Now you mentioned a movie, and then I like to talk about a movie that I guess you did, and then you made it into a book. I guess the movie came first, correct?
Yeah, so it was a play.
Okay, so let's bring that up, and we'll talk about that. And it's called Year of the Slut.
Yes.
And this is a play, right?
So yes, this was a one-woman show.
Oh, it's a one-woman show. Okay. All right.
And this was kind of a culmination. So this was the first time that I wrote the piece, I produced the piece, and I was in the piece. So
oh, wow.
I had been acting in other people's projects, and I had been producing other people's projects, and I had been, writing my own little projects on the side, but they always, kind of stayed in a drawer. They weren't, they weren't allowed to, like, come out and
sure.
So this piece I wrote as a showcase piece to invite agents and managers, directors, basically people who could hire me. And I played 10 different characters.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun snapping in and out. And basically I wanted to stretch myself. I wanted to, like, really rise to the occasion because once again, this was a showcase. I wrote this piece specifically to show people in the industry what I was made of.
Did you have to have quick costume changes even
Oh
too?
no, I didn't change costume at
Well, that's good.
all.
That'd be too much work.
No, basically, so one of the theater companies I was with in New York was the American Mime Theater, and I was trained
Oh,
in mime, which people can scoff at or make fun of all they want. I don't care. For me, it was
fine
some
with
of the
me.
best physical training I've ever had. So when I say I played 10 different characters, I played 10 different characters, and I could literally snap into each one of them physically, and you could tell
Wow.
that I was a different person without me speaking, without me moving, without me doing anything, just from my physical posture and the expression on my face.
Wow. That's talent. But now you made that into a story, right? You wrote a story from the play,
Yes.
correct? And
So
it's
the one
called
woman
This.
yes.
Uh-huh.
So the one woman show did not lead to the things I was hoping. Nobody really showed up. Like if you ever saw that movie La La Land with Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling,
Hmm.
she only had like one person in the audience. So I had like a nice little audience of friends and
Yeah.
family,
Support, right?
but nobody who could hire me really showed up. But
Mm.
so this is important. I'm going to kind of take my time with this story
Sure, please. We got plenty of time.
because all roads lead to Rome, or all roads lead to the slut. Let's put
Okay.
it that way. All roads lead to the slut.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we're listening to that now.
so what happened was, I do this show. I don't really get the results that I was hoping for. However, I realize I'm creatively fulfilled
Uh-huh.
first time in my career, because I am actually getting to perform these challenging roles. I'm pushing myself as a performer. I'm in the creative process. I'm in rehearsals, like I'm working so hard on this for months and months and months. And for the first time, I feel like I'm the artist I was born to.
That's great. Success.
Yes, and not on a commercial level, not on only on the level of my own self-fulfillment. Because I think one of the frustrating things in life can be when you have a talent and you have an ability, but you don't have an outlet to express it or to share it.
Mm-hmm.
And I joke all the time that I wish I was a painter, because if I was a painter, then all I needed was paints and brushes and canvases, and
Bob Ross.
do what I do. But when you're an actor, it's the most collaborative medium in the world. You
true.
need a script. Even if you're doing a one-woman show, you still need a script. You need a director. You need lighting designers. You need choreographers. You need this whole team of people around you that are going to be, collaborating and contributing. So this piece was a huge realization for me. And that's when I stopped kind of chasing so hard, trying to find the agent, trying to find the audition, trying to find all these things.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized I need to just focus on creating my own stuff. I'm not going to stop auditioning.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to stop looking for the agent or for the manager. But I took the pressure and the stress off of that, because my mindset before was, that is like the barrier between me and doing the work that I want to do. Without the agent, without the manager, without the
Mm-hmm.
access, to these auditions and stuff, I can't get to the other side, which is getting to be the creative.
That makes sense. Yes.
And then doing this piece, I realized, no, there's this whole mind shift. And it's like, I have the power to create my own pieces, and I can get really good at doing something that I do. And not worry so much about the whole making it thing and worry about creating, because that's what all creatives really just want to do. So before we get to the book, so I was doing this one woman show. I took it to New York. I got into a festival. I stuck with it for a few years, did some rewrites, did a few different incarnations of it, pushed it as far as it was interesting to me. After about 2 years, I was like, okay, this is enough. But the final performance was in a festival in New York, and I ended up winning the Audience Choice Award at the festival. And that's when I was encouraged to adapt it into a novel. So I did. The novel was a many year journey, though, because I gave up on it several times. I'd write a draft and try and get it to agents or publishers, this or that or whatever, and nobody was interested, or I'd get, just no response or rejections. And then I, kind of put it aside. And then that's when a friend approached me and asked if I wanted to write a web series together. Well, she didn't actually ask me to write a web series. She said, my husband bought me a camera. I'm interested in writing like a 5-minute short film and shooting it with me.
That'd be great.
Kind of as an exercise. You know what I mean? Like, let's just make something.
Sure.
And I was coming off of doing this one woman show, and I was full on in the, yes, let's make my own stuff mode. So my friend Rebecca and I went to a Zumba class, went to lunch, brainstormed ideas, and that's how Dumpwater Divas was born.
You mean this one right here?
Yes. So it's an 80s dance spoof.
Dumpwater Divas. I like the title of that.
Yes. So when I was a little girl, when I wasn't writing episodes of Saved by the Bell, I was in my basement making up dances. It was one of my favorite things to do. And I did. I wanted to be on one of those like dance competition shows when I was a kid. So basically this is about two girls who almost won a dance competition when they were kids. But my character got so nervous and messed up the moves that they never won. Like they came second.
That sounds so hilarious.
So this is 20 years later, and they're from like this small, like dumpy nowhere town where they're still the most famous people in their hometown because they were on TV 20 years ago. Because the town is just kind of so small.
Yeah.
And they're invited back to be on a reunion show, but at this point they're like enemies and estranged. And
that sounds great. And I like the way you did the artwork, because ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you the story. I told Jennifer already when I first saw this, the title, I thought it was Dirty Dancing. But you said, Jennifer, it was kind of a parody of that in a way, correct?
Yeah. So like my character, like her whole look, I chopped my hair off, and my whole look was modeled after Madonna and Desperately Seeking Susan.
Yes.
That was kind of my look. And so much of it, even the title everything is an 80s reference. So Dumpwater is where the Bundys went on Married with Children because they were too poor to go to Clearwater.
That's true. That's true.
Dumpwater is like, a borrowed, kind of, it's filled with all these little like Easter eggs of homage to, to 80s references, 80s pop culture references, 80s dance movies, all that kind of stuff.
Well, I'm kind of a relic from the 80s, so that's probably something I would really, really relate to. So, ladies and gentlemen, I definitely watched Dumpwater Divas. It is hilarious.
Yeah, it's on YouTube, and there's like 6 episodes. Each episode is like 6-7 minutes. It's just really fun and silly. So then I did Dumpwater Divas, and then I think I went back to the book for a little bit. And, did some rewrites, tried again, and that didn't go as planned. So Rebecca and I did another project together, and it basically, I just kept forging on making my own stuff.
That's what's
Fast
a yeah,
forward,
smart
and
move.
also around the time I did Dumpwater Divas is around the time I founded Make Your Own Break.
Which was this right here, ladies and gentlemen. So tell us about that.
So,
What does make your own break mean?
so Make Your Own Break is my company, and it's a production consulting business
Mm-hmm.
where I help, whether it's struggling, frustrated, or emerging creatives, create vehicles for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So my big break, my big, kind of breakthrough moment in my career was when my one woman show won this Audience Choice Award. It opened up a lot of doors for me. So a lot of other people that I know, whether they're peers or colleagues, they were kind of in that same boat as me, like not not having an outlet to show what they were made of, or
Uh-huh.
not being able to showcase themselves in the way that could open doors for them.
I see.
So basically, I all these projects, all these productions take a lot of money. They take a lot of money and a lot of resources.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm really good at is helping people figure out a really simple, cheap way to get a vehicle off the ground for themselves. And sometimes and the other thing too is not every writer is a producer. Not
Mm-hmm.
every actor is a writer. You know, I'm very blessed and I'm very fortunate that I have an interest in writing and an interest in performing and an interest in producing, because the other thing too is, if it's hard to be good at things we're not interested in,
True.
and producing is really not for everyone. And for somebody who's like a super creative, you know crunching budgets and production schedules is not necessarily going to be something that comes easy to them. you know
Absolutely.
um so I feel very fortunate, because I actually am like one of those people. I use both sides of my brain equally. So the creative stuff is just as accessible to me as like the budget stuff and the schedule
Sure.
stuff and all of the admin stuff. So I'm very fortunate that I can do, you know, I can juggle both, and it's not a huge challenge for me.
That's
Um,
great. That's great to hear.
yeah. So, but basically, I can help kind of with like the production stuff. I can help creatives figure out simple ways, to break it down in terms that they can do this for themselves. And yeah, and basically that's my whole thing. So my company slogan is stop waiting, start creating equals make your own break, because most creatives are, stuck in this like purgatory of waiting for our big break, waiting for somebody to pick us, waiting for someone to give us that big opportunity. And chances are, we're not necessarily going to create that huge monumental opportunity for ourselves.
Yeah, for
Like
sure.
Leah Bardulos, who created My Big Factory Wedding. You know,
Yes.
those,
Uh-huh.
those are, like a one in a million. But John Leguizamo has done several one-man shows,
Mm-hmm.
and his one-man show Freak, that got picked up by the Public Theater,
Yep.
is what put him on the map and opened doors to him to get into the industry, to get to
Absolutely.
be the Academy Award nominated, like Golden Globe winning actor that he
Sure.
is. So that's the other thing too. It's like work begets work. If you create momentum for yourself, that momentum is going to propel you forward, and it's going to kind of have that snowball effect of bringing interest to you and bringing people, into your sphere in a way that's not going to happen if you're just kind of sitting and waiting around for the right thing to come along.
And it's always one day maybe that might happen. How long are you going to waste your life on one day maybe and might? You
And
know.
not just that, regardless of how your projects are received, if you achieve what you set out to achieve with them, you still get to be a creative.
Sure.
You still get to make stuff. You still get to do what you do, and that's all that matters. It's like, are you doing it or are you not doing it? It's not about the scale, because you keep doing things long enough, eventually it's just going to scale. That we're in a, constantly expanding universe. It's impossible for it not, to get bigger with each project and each step forward. So yeah, I'm a huge preacher and believer that we all have the power to create our own opportunities. And that's what I've kept doing. And with each step forward, with each production, I've gotten to like another plateau in my career. And once again, so this is going to like bring the whole thing full circle back to Year of the What. So fast forward to the What. I gave up on this novel several times. I, turned my back on it, created other projects, went to do short films or plays or other people's films or produce for people. And eventually I pushed through and I got to the finish line. And I never thought the book would be successful. I never intended it to be successful. By the time I self-published this book, all I cared about was completion. All I was focused on is, you've been working on this manuscript on and off for how many years? It's like, it's not a book until it's out. You know what I mean?
I see on the book it says Amazon bestseller #1.
So yes. So, the intention was, don't worry about where it goes. Just get it done. Just finish it, because then you have the peace of mind that whether or not the project was like a failure, you at least finished it.
Exactly.
So that's what I did. And then lo and behold, the book ends up becoming an Amazon #1 bestseller.
That's perfect.
I've won 5 literary awards for the book this year. And which was the other point, is you never know where you're going to end up.
That's true.
You're going to start down the path. I did this one-woman show because I was hoping to land a big agent in LA, or land a big manager, get some director to see me, some producer, hoping to get discovered. That never happened. But I'm now a multi-award winning and #1 best-selling author, which is pretty cool.
I have graced the cover of many magazines, ladies and gentlemen. Here's one magazine that Jennifer has been on. That's just one of many that you've been on, Jennifer. Very impressed to make the cover.
Yeah, so it's been really cool. So so on the one hand, I've had success with it, but on the other hand, if I never did the one-woman show to begin with, I never would have realized that I could help a lot of people do it for themselves. And, with Make Your Own Break, at this point, I've helped over 100 creatives.
That's awesome.
Launch projects for themselves, whether it's short film productions, help them along with their script, help them, put their project together. Because, it's not just, there's this huge kind of satisfaction in the collaborative process when you're a creative.
Well, let me ask you this.
It's not just about being able to do it for myself. It's about being able to help others along the way.
Well, you mentioned that, Make Your Own Break, and I got this up there. This is the website. So the people listening that's interested in your story and maybe having you help them, if they go to this website below, Make Your Own Break, what will they see there on this website?
Okay, so there's a page that's about me, and then so I offer several different services where you could hire me one-on-one, whether it's production consulting. I do script coverage, basically, which is where I give you feedback on your film or theater script. You review it. You can review it. Yeah, I review it and I give notes and things like that. Yes. Okay. So I've been doing script development for almost 20 years now.
Oh, great.
Yep, I do budgets, I do production schedules. I can basically, there's an itemized list of all the things that I do that you could hire me for any one of those services or several of the services. I also offer workshops, producing 101 workshops. So basically, if somebody's looking to do an indie film production or an indie theater production, I break it down into 7 simple steps and, what you need from inception to through execution of getting it into the marketplace.
We have some comments from the audience tonight I'd like to share with you. Be Kind says, she is so right. We each have to take an active part in creating our future.
Yes. Yeah, it's so true. And I think it's really important for us to realize we have control of our own happiness. And a lot of people, sure, there was a pandemic, everybody's lives were derailed. People have lots of, roller coaster events in life. That's just part of what life is, but we really have a choice to choose happiness, to choose to do the things that are going to make us happy, to choose to stop doing the things that don't make us happy.
Absolutely.
And, of course it's going to take work, and I'm not saying that it's going to be easy. It's not like, snap of the fingers and all of a sudden you're in the career you want, doing what you want. For a lot of my productions, I was working a full-time job while I was, working on rehearsals.
You have to eat. You got to pay rent or whatever your bills are.
In the evenings or the weekends or things like that. It goes in ebbs and flows. Sometimes I'm, for years on end, I'm just full of doing creative work and that's it. And sometimes I'm at the point now is a little different, but when I first started out and when I first started Make Your Own Break and when I first started doing Dumpwater Divas and Year of Blood and all of my earlier projects, I was the performing arts director at an elementary school.
Wow.
I was the office manager at a commodity brokerage firm. I managed a couple of restaurants, even Dumpwater Divas, which
there it is. Wow.
So even Dumpwater Divas, like all the stuff that I've done also has been micro budgets, like scraping resources together, asking in every favor that I can, attracting people with other incentives that are not cash. But even Dumpwater Divas, I was working and I started doing a side hustle a few times a week. That money went into an envelope in my apartment. It was a cash job. That cash went to a special Dumpwater Divas envelope. And for several months, that's what I did.
Smart move.
That's what I did to save up my Dumpwater Diva money. So a lot of it is strategic planning. And part of the strategic planning is figuring out how to save up the money or how to raise the money or put it aside. But I have to tell you what the job was, what the side hustle was, because it's so hilarious.
Okay.
So in LA, there are dozens and dozens of shows happening, being filmed every single day. A lot of talk shows. And all of these talk shows need a live studio audience. And they need every single seat filled. So a lot of times they'll need 5, 10, 15, 20 seats filled that people didn't get tickets for. And they will pay individuals, they'll pay actors to come and sit in those seats.
Wow.
And that was my Dumpwater Diva money.
That was it. That's where it came in.
Audience work. I did audience work and I would sit like this.
Oh, that worked out perfect, didn't it?
Yeah.
Hey,
it was hilarious.
And I think your middle name, me just talking to you, I think your middle name is Persistent, because somebody commented in our audience tonight, says, sounds like Jen is not only talented but hugely persistent. I guess would you consider yourself to be persistent?
Definitely, yes. This any creative field or any big dream in general, I think takes like a huge amount of perseverance, because it's never as easy as it looks.
No. Yeah.
Even when people make it look easy, it's never as easy as it looks. And, there's always 10, 20 years behind that overnight success. And nobody knows, nobody knows the struggle, because also nobody posts the struggle on their Instagram or on their Facebook unless they're doing a GoFundMe. You know what I mean? Like, yes. People just want to show the best moments and the best parts where they're succeeding. So I think that's a whole other issue, though.
Well, you have so, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, she's got so much talent, and I'll have her website up here momentarily. But I want to talk about some of your other work, Jennifer, if you don't mind. What about this one? It's called Details. Tell us about. Is this a story? Is it a movie? What is this?
So, Details is an experimental short film.
A short film, okay.
Yes. So I wrote the script for Details quite a long time ago. I was 22 in New York when I wrote Details. And basically, it was a one-act play. It was like a short 10-minute play about a couple having an argument. Their relationship's falling apart. The relationship is deteriorating. And it's the kind of argument that couples have over and over and over and over again.
There's no ending to it, right?
Exactly. And but it's also at the point, the only way to move forward in a healthy way is to either separate or move past it and not discuss it ever again. Because there's, the couple's at an impasse. It's like, we either move on or we split up, but we can't kind of stew in the same argument for another 20 years, even though people do those things.
Right. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I had done the piece in acting class, and when I was doing it in acting class, I did it with another female. Even though the piece was written between a male and a female, I had a friend, Robin, in the class, and we wanted to work on something together. We wanted to work on a scene together.
Why not?
And I said, you know what? I have a scene that I've written. It's pretty well written. It's written between a man and a woman, but I think it could easily work between two women, because basically it's a couple fighting. Yeah. And they never discuss. There's nothing about gender. There's nothing indicative of this person has to be a man.
That would zero in on whatever. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. So she and I decided to do the piece together as an exercise in an acting class. And she played the female and I played the male role. And it actually worked really well. And then I was asked to showcase it at a different performance space. And that time I did it with a male, and I played the female role and the male played the male role.
Oh, well, you did both roles at one time.
Exactly. And even in the interim of me working on it, both those times, just as an acting showcase, I had sent the script to some people. And at that point in time, I think it had already fallen through 2 or 3 times. Script was a really dynamic script, and everybody who read it was like, oh, this is great. Like, I want to direct this. In 10 years, the project fell through at least 6 times.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Just because, people get jazzed about the script and then timing wouldn't work or logistics wouldn't work or whatever it would be. And finally, let's say we're in 2017. Okay. And my grandfather, who passed away recently, says to me, are we going to go to the Cannes Film Festival this year? He's like, I want to go again, and I'm getting older, and I don't know how much time I have left.
Oh.
Because in 2016, I had made my first short film that was a piece that I had written by myself. I had done stuff with partners, but it was my first, kind of baby. And we got to go to the Cannes Film Festival, and my grandfather came with.
Oh, that's great. That's memories there.
So he asked me in 2017, are we going to go again? And I said, Pepe, no. I don't I don't have a project. I don't have anything. And I ended up going to Rome for a creative workshop. And a bunch of us were at dinner one night at this lovely hotel overlooking,
Oh, that sounds great.
overlooking the sunset.
Yes. Uh-huh.
And this woman was saying how she'd love to produce a short film, and do I have any film scripts? And I said, yeah, actually, I have this piece. It's about a couple whose relationship is falling apart. And I said, I've never been able to figure out if it should be shot as a heterosexual piece or as a lesbian piece, because it can work so well either way. It's a universal story about a couple, falling apart.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And I said, so what I'd actually like to do with it is I'd like to film it as a heterosexual piece and as a gay piece and as a lesbian piece. And I'd like to film it several times with several different couples, but film it the exact same way.
And just different actors and actresses. Oh,
and then cut it together as one cohesive 10-minute piece, intercutting the different couples. So that
would be interesting.
So wow. It's super experimental. Yeah. So it's a super experimental piece. And that's, so I kind of told the table my idea, and everybody was overwhelmed, like with positive remarks. Everybody's like, that would be amazing. That would be incredible. That would be so cool. And so I made it. And this woman who was at the table with me, she ended up being one of the producers on it. And
that's great.
It was basically all of these people at the table encouraging me to do it that pushed me. And we shot it in one day in January, early January of 2018. And I did take my grandfather to the Cannes Film Festival in 2018 with the production.
Great. Yeah. Grandpas are special. Mine certainly was.
Yes, they're so special. I know. Yeah. So that was Details. Yeah. And I directed it. Never thought I would be a director. I always just wanted to be an actor. I loved writing too. And, producing was a way to pay the bills that wasn't working in a restaurant. I loved that I was able to make like producing and working behind the scenes my side hustle. So that was always great. But directing always seemed so like daunting and outside of like my sphere of talent. But now that I stepped up to the plate and I did direct that piece, I definitely will be directing again.
That's great. And like I said, ladies and gentlemen, you have to look at Jennifer's website to see everything, all of her talent that she has done. It's just overwhelming. In fact, I promised you I was going to bring her website up, so I'll let her describe it. So Jennifer, there's your website, JenniferLiebermanActor.com. So if they go to this website, what all will they see? Do you tell us what's on this website?
Yep. So basically, it's the website I use when I'm submitting for acting roles. So
okay, that's great. It's perfect.
There's, some photo galleries, some clips of some of my acting work, my resume, a little blurb about myself, and then some media links. Just kind of.
You got a very, very kind of a hilarious picture. I didn't know what the story was till you told me. So I'll just pull this up and I'll have you describe to the audience what this is.
Okay, great. Oh, yes. So that was the last play that I was in. It was pre-pandemic. It was the end of 2019. And the play is called With a Little Help. It's John Belushi.
John Belushi. We know that name.
Yes. So the play was about John Belushi's life story. And I played Gilda Radner. So that's me as Gilda Radner, in between the gentleman playing John Belushi. And then the other gentleman is playing Brian Doyle Murray, who
You're
is
Gilda.
And a lot of people don't know this, but Gilda Radner was the first actor who was ever hired on Saturday Night Live.
Did not know that.
So,
oh, wow.
Yes. So Buren Michaels discovered Gilda Radner at one of John Belushi's National Lampoon shows.
Oh, wow.
And he was the one and then he brought her onto Saturday Night Live. But John Belushi is the one who discovered her, and then Lorne Michaels poached her. And that's how all the National Lampoon's comedic actors ended up on SNL, like Chevy Chase.
Yep.
And Dan Aykroyd, and then eventually John Belushi.
I bet it seemed like you had a lot of fun doing that, right?
You know what? It was. So I love live theater, and that show in particular was just so much fun. Some of the most talented people I've ever worked with.
Awesome.
I can't even tell you, like, we had such a great time, such a riot, and just so much talent. Like, there's nothing like getting to like toss the ball around with people who really know how to play.
I told you before we start, like my audience knows, I used to be in community theater myself, just a little small community theater. Did it for 12 years, and you get to meet a lot of interesting people, and it's just a lot of fun.
Yes, it's so much fun, and and I just, that particular cast, everybody was so exceptionally talented. It was just a treat every night. Like, a lot of times when you're doing a play, when people are backstage, they're kind of like sitting in their dressing room and waiting for their, going over their lines.
Exactly.
Or quick change or whatever. This play, all of us were standing in the wings watching the people on stage. All of us wanted to like be in the audience, and there are a couple of
people to see what was going on.
Well, because it was just so good. You didn't want to miss it.
That is great. Oh man,
that's awesome.
To be a part of that is just that's an honor in itself. I'm so glad you got to be a part of that.
I feel so blessed, and actually, to toot my own horn a little bit,
nothing wrong with that.
I was nominated for Best Performance in a Musical Off-Broadway by BroadwayWorld.com for that role.
That's great. Congratulations. I've got one more piece let's talk about. There's so many, but I picked out the ones I thought really just spoke to me. How about this one?
Yes. Okay. So when I started Make Your Own Break, I always intended, and I still intend, to have some how-to books about film production and theater production that would complement my theater producing 101 workshops for theater, film, new media, stuff like that. But always was like, I'll get to it eventually because I'm too busy actually making the movies and being in the plays and doing all the creative stuff right now. There's still time to do the how-to books. And then the pandemic hit. So two things happened in terms of so first I was suggested by a friend. I was told to record my own audiobook. So this was like a perfect thing to do during the OG lockdown.
Yep, absolutely.
When we were still leaving our groceries outside for 3 days. So at that point in history, it's like, oh my God, yes, I have months on end with nothing to do, stuck at home. The theaters are closed, the movie sets are closed. Let's record an audiobook. So I recorded Year of the What. I did it by myself. I created a little cocoon in my closet. And I recorded the whole thing. And then I went back to go through and edit it and clean it up.
Sure.
And I messed up a lot. I made some big mistakes.
Hey, that's how you learn, though.
That I had to start all over again.
Oh, no. Oh.
So I did. I started all over again from the beginning. And like you said, yes, this is how we learn. You learn the hard way. And then you can teach other people not to make your mistakes.
There it is.
So my same friend who told me to record the audiobook, when I told her I finally finished and told her I had to do it twice and I made all these mistakes, and she's like, oh, that's great. Now you can write a how-to book on, for
another project.
Yes, but for other self-published authors. Excuse me.
Bless you.
I'm going to grab a sip of water.
Well, I think that's a good idea. I think I'll get one too.
So, But this is specifically geared towards self-published authors like myself, because
Okay.
if you're at one of the big publishing companies, chances are, they'll be able to get like Morgan Freeman or, like
Some big speaker, yes.
or someone super cool to like,
Mm-hmm.
record your book for you, which is
Ryan
awesome.
Reynolds or somebody.
Yeah. But if you're an indie author, you should really consider recording your own audiobook. And I know ACX can pair people up. ACX is the platform you go through to publish your own Audible.
Mm-hmm.
Just like KDP is what you do to publish your book on Amazon. There are these different platforms.
Sure. Uh-huh.
So ACX does have a program where they can pair you up with a performer to read your audiobook for you.
Oh,
However,
wow.
I would like to encourage self-published authors especially to consider telling their own stories, because you're connected to your story. You have an emotional connection to your story.
It's your
People are
creative.
judging your voice. They're going to be judging, how energetically and how accurately somebody's energy is matching telling a story.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I'm just throwing it out there. But
good suggestion.
For anyone who is interested, it's how to record and publish your audiobook in 7 simple steps. I love the 7-step method because it breaks it down so easy.
Yes.
Like all of my production workshops, my how-to courses, it's all about like 7 steps because it really does just make it easier. You don't need a million steps.
That's perfect. Yeah.
Streamline it. But basically it's quite simple. It's a quick, easy read. I spent less than $100 on equipment. It's not this huge investment.
Well, that's
it's not
nice.
a lot of money. I outline, realistically how much time it's going to take, what kind of commitment it is. And one of the biggest things that I urge everybody, 1 month of vocal exercises every single day before you even attempt to start recording your book.
Make sure people understand that 1 month of vocal exercises every day if they attempt this.
Yes. You're not going to run a marathon if you've never ran around the track before.
Sure, you got to practice, yes.
Yeah, so this is a speaking marathon. This is a marathon that your lips, your tongue, your mouth, your vocal cords are going to be running. You gotta get in shape, kids.
Yeah.
Get in shape for that one.
Don't just work your arm, work your voice. Yeah.
and I actually provide vocal exercises in the book. I provide a schedule, I provide a timeline, I provide all of that stuff.
That's great.
Yes. And then I go through preparation, I go through editing, I go through equipment, I go through the software, I go through like basically everything you would need in order to get it done.
Great. Let me put that other website up where you kind of help people out. I think that's very, very important.
Yeah, so makeyourownbreak.com or makeyourownbreak.wordpress.com. It's the same thing. All roads lead to the same website.
Mm-hmm. And people can actually contact you through there, like email, or can they, how do they just contact you that way?
All my websites have a content section where they can email me directly. You can also sign up. I have like a quarterly newsletter that I do. And then also you would get an email if there's a special event. So a book signing, a play, a film screening, something like that. So, but I don't send out a lot of emails. But if there's something important coming up, I do. So all my websites have an option to subscribe to my newsletter.
That's great. Now, when you help somebody, say somebody comes and they need, hey, Jennifer, I'd like you to help me with this. Do you just do it through, like I said, communicate through email? Do you do Zoom, or kind of how would you do that?
Yep. So yeah, it would definitely be Zoom or phone calls, or depending on what city you're in, I might be able to work with you live and in person.
That'd be even better.
Yes. Definitely.
Do you do speaking engagements too? Do you speak a lot, or mostly just through your website?
I've done a few speaking engagements. I spoke at Fan Expo this year about audiobooks. So that was really cool. And then I was a special guest at the Ottawa Book Expo in Ottawa, Canada.
Impressive.
Which was also cool.
Uh-huh.
Excuse me. Sorry.
That's fine. Hey, the coughing's going around. I just got through some bronchitis last week, so I know I can relate.
Well, the heat's been blasting, and it gets so dry.
Oh yeah, because you got the essential heat in there. It was like 8 or 9 degrees last week where I'm at, and it was so the heat here, the essential heat was really working overtime.
Yeah. Crazy.
Well, Jennifer, I really appreciate you coming on tonight. It's been interesting. And ladies and gentlemen, I just want you to know, if you've seen this show from beginning to end, I haven't even touched on all the accomplishments that Miss Lieberman has done. So I highly recommend you check out her websites. She's got a wealth of information, and she's also got a website to come help you out if you want to, learn how to self-publish or just need some advice. So, and also check out her one-woman show. I'm going to show this again. This is to do, not only write it, Jennifer, but to produce it and then acting it. So here is the actual stage play.
Yeah.
A one-woman show, ladies and gentlemen, called Year of the Slut. And then she wrote this is the book?
So that's the book, yes.
Year of the what? I like that. Year of the what? Like, people
the word "slut" was censored, so I had to change the title. I tried to publish it with the original title, and it did not fly.
So now you have to do a what? Like a second guess. What did they say?
Exactly.
So Jennifer, again, thank you. You've got so much accomplishments. We're looking forward to seeing more from you, and I know you're going to be gracing the cover of more magazines in the future.
Oh, thank you so much, Bob. This has been so much fun chatting with you. I hope you have a great night and a happy 2023.
Happy New Year to you too, Jennifer. Thank you. And that'll be all for me tonight, ladies and gentlemen. The last episode of 2022 could not have ended it on a better note. Again, not just Jennifer, but all the guests I've had this year. Thank you so much for your support. You're bringing in a lot more subscribers, a lot more exposure, and I've learned a lot too just by having the guests on. I've gotten information I wouldn't have received before, and so it's been a very, very great year. I'm looking forward to 2023. Don't forget, Van Buren Variety is live every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and I'd love to see you come back and see what we have next week and next year. So again, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've had a great time. I know I have. Thank you for tuning in to the Van Buren Variety Show, and I will see you next week. Good night.